All right. Okay, here we are. Once again. Okay, so this time around we're looking at how to find the center and the radius of a circle with known equation. All right. Last time we saw these two equations. As you can see here, our final conclusion was that the equation x squared plus y squared minus 4x minus 6x minus 12 is equal to 0. It can also be written as x minus 2 squared, y minus 3 squared equals 25. And we also realize that, hello? Yeah, also we also realize that if we have x squared plus y squared minus 2 set of 3x minus 4y plus 7 minus pi on square root of 4 is equal to 0. It's the same as writing the second equation. So you see that at the end of the day, the reason why it is the way it is the second equations are nothing but that is what we expanded to get these equations we have on top. Okay, so this equation here, as you can see, is the same as this one, and that, and that. So definitely we know that if we have been given any point, for instance, let's try if we have been given a coordinate of an origin. Okay, starting from, let's see, x, our coordinates are, for instance, we have been asked to find the equation. Equation of radius 1 and the center 0, 0. Meaning, equations that start from the origin. Okay, so we have been asked to find the equation of the radius 1 and the center 0. So definitely we know that, okay, so radius r is equals to 1. Friends, let's have a look at it. So r is equals to 1. R is equals to 1. Let's see. So r is equals to 1, and our center 0, 0. So we've been asked to find this equation. So what do we do? What we know is generally our equation x minus a squared plus y minus b squared is equals to what? R squared. So if we do the substitution, okay, then we say this is going to be x minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared is equals to what? 1 squared. This implies that we have x squared plus y squared is equals to 1. You see, so this is also an equation of a circle. Okay, this is also an equation of a circle which has a center 0, 0, and the radius to be equals to 1. Okay, this same equation can be written this way. We can write this equation x squared plus ox plus y squared plus 0y plus a 0 constant, okay, is equals to what? 1. Have you seen that? So these two equations are the same. Okay? Why? Because, 0 multiplying x is 0, 0 multiplying y is 0, 0 multiplying constant c is 0. So that's the reason why this same equation can be written like that. Okay, so as you can see, this is a way we can, get our the factors when we are solving equation of the sort. So what about if we have been given the equation and we've been asked to find the center and the radius of the equation? Okay, now let's look at this. What did you think about it? And give me an answer. Yes? Is anybody that can explain the reason why? Okay, if we've been given an equation and we've been asked to find the center of the equation and the radius. For instance, let's say we've been given an equation of the form x minus 16 squared plus y minus 7 squared is equals to 18. Such an equation. And we've been asked to find the equation. We've been asked to find the radius. The radius, okay, and the center of the equation. So, the question here is, how do we find? You see, so our question here is how do we calculate such values, with the given equation. With a given equation. So with a given equation, okay, so there's a question that we've been given. And we've been asked to find the center. Okay? Find the center. And also the radius of the equation. So now let's see. You see, that this property I wanted to explain. That says that a circle, okay, so let have this clear, okay, so that we'll be on the same page, right? So if we have this, okay, so this property, I wanted to take notice of that property, okay. So a circle, they say a circle with center, okay, PQ and radius. Radius R has an equation, generally given as what x minus p squared plus y minus what was it mean? Yeah, p1 minus q squared is equals to what r squared. Okay, so this is general equation as we proved earlier. So, however, you need, for us to be able to calculate this value here, and this value here, and the radius here, what we have to do is to complete the square. So we have to complete the square in order to find the center of the radius. Center and the radius. You see, in order for us to be able to find the center and radius of the equation. Okay? So that is a big disclaimer. You see, here we need to really look at this. Yeah? With us. See what that's what it says. Okay? That's what it says. Okay, so we have to complete the square in order for us to be able to find the center and the radius of the equation. Well, I think we got to go back and talk about this. When we talk about quadratic equation, some time back, we know the quadratic equation in general is given as what? AS squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Okay, and from that we're able to derive this equation that says x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, then through that we did the completing of square. That one we said as squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Okay, so we said as squared plus bx is equal to minus c. Then if you remember, we said by completing the square, we add b over 2a squared. So we halve the b and we square it and add to both sides of the equation. Both sides of the equation above. So because of that, let's say recap. Okay, so then we said as squared, okay, plus bs plus c equals that. You see, so now we have bx equals negative c. So we divided both sides of this equation. We say x squared b over a x equals negative c over a. So then we're going to add this to both sides of this equation, and we say x squared plus b over a, that plus b over 2a squared is equals to negative c over a plus b over 2a squared. Okay, then we resulted. Was that okay? Okay, right. So then we resulted in this by expanding this and simplifying this. So we say x plus b over 2a all squared is equals to what? Negative c over a, and a b squared 4a squared. Okay, then we ended up saying the x plus b over 2a squared is equals to what? B squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Okay, so you see the method of completing the square is what we have here. Okay, so in the same way we apply this knowledge when we have been given an equation of a circle, okay, to solve. So you will see that, for instance, in this question where we have x minus 16, okay, this question, x minus 16 squared plus y minus 7 squared minus 7 squared is equals to 18. So minus 7 squared is equals to 18. We're supposed to find the center. okay, and also the radius of the equation. And it's not anything difficult. So you see, over here, if we compare, okay, you will see that we are going to take the same idea. You see, this is one quadratic. This is a quadratic equation on its own. And this is also a quadratic equation on its own. You see? So if you look at it very carefully, it gives you a clue of how to go about this. You see? How to go about this. So you see that this quadratic over here has got coefficient A to be equal to 1. And the same thing here has got coefficient of A, because if we expand this quadratic equation, okay, now let's take it one by one. We know here, okay, we are going to expand it, and over here this will be B over 2. So if we say negative B over 2A, okay, so you see that our B here is the negative 16 divided by 2, and the coefficient of x is 1, so multiply by 1. You see? Have you seen how it is? Okay, so you will see for sure that that is how, that's what it's going to be. So for this one will be x, so we divide by 2a, this one will be x, okay, minus that. So when we expand that, we're going to add, we're going to add negative b over 2a to both sides. So if we equate, let's say if this one is 2, and negative that to negative 16, okay, and that to negative 2, let's say f, to negative 7, then you will see that our J, if J is the expression here, then this will be 8, you see, and this f will be positive 7 over 2. Okay, so this is the value that we are going to square and add to both sides. So that's negative b over a. Okay, so you see that the one on the left, okay, has got this coordinate, and this coordinate as well. So straightforward, we'll be able to know that the center of the equation is given as this. Okay, now what do? We on the positive side, you will see that this equation x minus 16 squared, okay, here, when we expand it, okay, and this is y minus 7 squared is equals to, let's bring our minus 18 to be equal to 0. So you see that we are going to have x squared minus 32 x, okay, then when we get here, 16 times 16 times 16 will give us 16 times 16. Yes, you can tell me. Oh, beautiful. They tell me, George. 16 times 16 will give us 256. Have you seen that? So this will be this equation, and this will be y squared minus 14y. Yes, then this will be 49 minus 18 is equal to 0. So you see what we have done. So over here, to complete the square, you see, so you see that it's going to be easy. Okay, we have to be able to factorize this one. Okay, so negative b over 2a, that will help us to be able to see the values. So we see that over here, the values that we are going to add to both sides over here will be that. So will be that. So this we are going to have x squared minus the 2x plus 156, okay, plus the squared, okay, and 7 over 2 squared minus 18 is equal to 0. Plus, so those, then we had the y squared minus 14y plus what, 49. Okay, so this straightforward will give us the radius of the equation. Have you seen that? So our center will be 8, okay, 8, and this will be 7 over 2. And the radius will be computation of 8 squared plus 7 over 2 squared minus 18. So when we compute this, that will give us the radius of the equation. Friends, you see, so I always tell students there is always a faster way of solving this kind of question. So, you know, we started by having this quest that says that, you know, find the center and the radius of the circle with a known equation. So that if we have a known equation, we must be able to find the center and the radius easy. So now let's see how we can handle this quest. Okay, so for sure we know that if we have our equation x minus a squared plus y minus b squared, so it's equal to r squared. Okay, so now let's try and expand this. Okay, when we expand this, we are going to get our x squared minus 2ax plus a squared as did over here, this part of the, yeah. For this is for the first part, and the second part is going to be y squared minus 2by plus b squared, you see, is equal to r squared. Are we on the same page? Now let's rearrange this equation. Okay, so rearrange. Okay, so when we rearrange, this equation is now going to look this way. X squared plus y squared minus 2ax plus, okay, so that, so plus, okay, so, sorry, okay, so then we have minus 2by, okay, so we have this, and let's arrange the constants. So a squared plus b squared, okay, then we bring our r in here, to say r squared is equal to 0. So you see, we are able to generate another equation. Okay, now this is an equation that we have attained. Now let's do some quick sketch and see something. Okay, so that if we have our coordinates to be, for instance, coordinates of this equation, this center, if this is general equation, okay, if this is a general equation, because then we can say that this equation is equivalent to this one, because we haven't done anything but rather expand the equation. Then let's look at this analogy. If we have okay, so if you have a circle, okay, First of all, let's have some lines first. If you have a line, these lines here. Okay, there's a line. We can define this line as y-axis. Then we have another line here, somewhere here. We'll bring it down here. Okay, this line is beautiful. So we can have a circle. Okay, and a circle here. Okay, and a circle down somewhere here. Okay, let's see. So we have a circle down here. Then we have another circle down here, for instance. Okay, okay, on this quadrant. Okay, these are two circles. Yeah, these are two circles. If you look at them very well, if we say this is a y-axis, and this is x-axis, then we want to find a coordinate. So this coordinate will lie in this positive coordinate, the quadrant. And this, if the coordinate is this JF, will be here. And if the coordinate lies on this point, then that means this coordinate will be negative G, negative F. Okay, then the radius will have a radius R. Okay, so if that is the condition, so if we have this coordinate like negative G, negative F to be our coordinate, okay, then we can substitute this coordinate into this equation. Okay, so if we do that, then we are going to have our equation which started by saying x squared plus y squared. Okay, then minus 2 negative G of x. Okay, then minus 2 negative minus f y plus our coordinate a squared plus b squared plus r squared minus r squared is equal to 0. Then we can write this equation also as x squared plus y squared plus 2g of x plus 2f of y plus a squared and b squared minus r squared is equal to what? 0. So what we have done is, over here, if we compare, we can say that 2f of x, yeah, let me clean this one. So we can say that we substituted that into this equation. Okay, so if the center is negative G, negative F, then our equation can stand this way. We can also select C to be equal to what? A squared, B squared minus R squared. So this C here is a constant of that circle. So that we can say that from that, since we have C is equal to that, it's equal to A squared plus B squared minus R squared. We can make R the same here. That's the radius of the equation of the circle. So this will be R squared negative. Okay, it's equal to C minus A squared minus B squared. Have you seen that? So when we multiply through, okay, when we multiply through, we'll get R squared to be equal to A squared plus B squared minus C. Okay, and therefore we can say that R is equal to the square root of A squared plus B squared minus C. So this becomes the equation that we can also use to find the radius of the circle, knowing the center, knowing the C, which is the center. Yeah. So with that, we can use this equation to solve every equation of a circle given, knowing the equation. We can use this one to find the center. Okay, so for instance, if we have an equation, we had an equation like that. For the first part, we have x minus 16 and x minus 7, y minus 7. You see, so x minus 16 squared plus y minus 7 squared is equals to, what was the value? 18. Okay, so that's how we go about this. Let's look at it. 18. So straightforward. Okay, that's how we solve this. So for here, we will let, okay, minus 2f of x to be equals to minus 16. Okay, then this one we'll say minus 2f of y, yeah, to be equals to negative 7. Okay, and when we compute here, we're going to get our f to be 16 over 2, that is 8. Okay, and here we say that our g, f of g, so let's look at g. This g is equals to 7 over 2. So now the center of the equation of the circle is what? 8, 7 over 2. Okay, so how do you find the equation? How do we find the equation? Okay, how do you find the radius of the equation? Now we know our c. Okay, so we'll computing the square. That means we're going to add these values. Okay, knowing the radius of the equation. If you look at the equation, if you compare this equation, okay, to x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared. You see that your r squared here is equals to what? Square root of the value of a square root of 18. The meaning r is square root of 18. You see, straight on, you are able to calculate the r. You are also able to find the center of the equation of the circle. You see, so this is not anything that you are supposed to be confused when you have been mated with such quest to solve. Okay, so it's not anything difficult. Take your time and go through it. Okay, the method of completing the square. You can also use this one to resolve it, and there you go. You can be able to solve the equation of a circle. Okay, with this as well, knowing this, okay, you can also find the center, because now you know that r squared is equals to square root of a squared plus b squared minus c. Okay, so how do you find the c? So here it will be what? Square root of 18 squared is equal to square root of a over your 8 squared, 8 squared plus 7 over 2 squared minus c. You make c the subject, and that will be your solution. Well, I'm going to leave you guys. We will continue later. Yeah. For now, please take your time and go through this as we later tackle other questions. So now when you make equations of this sort, that is how you go about it. Yeah, grabbing it step by step, and there we go. You see, that is how it is. By completing the square. Okay, by completing the square, meaning add b over 2a to both sides of the equation. Okay, then that will help you to be able to resolve it. It's not anything difficult. So as you see, that's how you go about it. So over here, you add, if you are solving them, this is the quadratic equation. Individually, you tackle the first one here. You add b over 2a squared to this side. You add b over 2a to this side, and you complete, and that will give you the radius. So I think we have to solve more questions, and that will help us. So the next time we meet, we're going to solve similar questions so easily that everybody will be able to understand what we are talking about. Some people may not be able to grab it this way. But when we solve more examples, then they'll be able to, capture it. Well, that's where we bring the discussion to a close until we meet again. Bye.